So let me talk about, why Kazakhstan should be a global player. And so we can talk a little, and I want to compare Kazakhstan with Australia. And there is a little bit of quiz here for people from Kazakhstan, right? So Australia's population is about 23 million, and Kazakhstan is 17 million. Australia's GDP is $1.2 trillion. Do you know what is Kazakhstan GDP? You can't say. You should know everything. Do you know what is the GDP? It's $230 billion, nominal, not PPP, nominal, $230 billion. So almost 6 times. Now, another interesting fact is that, Australia's density, that means how many people live per square mile, is about 2.8. Do you know what is Kazakhstan? 5.97. Right? So actually, Australia is more, less dense than Kazakhstan. Australia's export is about $240 billion. Kazakhstan is about $43 billion, right? So clearly, you have the capacity to become like Australia, right? Because in every other way, it was same. Earlier, for a landlocked country, it was difficult. Today, it is not. So now you can also, so you can, if you can target. I think, if you look at, the objective by 2050 to be in first 30 countries, the only thing difference between Kazakhstan and Australia is the ease of doing business. Ease of doing business, you're coming up, you're 41 or 43, while the Australia is 13. And I think, with the digital economy which was going on, I think if not only government can only do so much, but I think if every people from Kazakhstan can decide that we can do this, and that's why going global, it should be absolutely a part of the plan for almost every company here. The second is also, I think, the nomadic culture, and I talked about, being, that today's world belongs to people who go around global, who become global nomad entrepreneurs, global nomad investors. You already have in you, from Kazakhstan, you have a nomadic culture, and I think you can leverage your culture to win the world. Also, I think, targeting, as per the Kazakhstan 2050 strategy, targeting non-energy sector should be the key element, and I think the companies here, I think, can not only focus on non-energy, but technology and non-energy, that would be a good place to work with. And I think, there are a few times, today was discussed, if you don't go, they are coming, right? We talked about even a taxi driver in Munich, gets competition from San Francisco. So today's business is a game of chess. You can't say that I'm going to play my corner. You have to play the board. So you have to have your business as a global business. But why? I think and why Kazakhstan can be a global player. So number one is the stability. So even in 2008, I think, the financial disaster, the Kazakhstan maintained the stability of the country. Right now also, there is already a discussion about the coming crisis, or the crisis going through. So usually, if you identify the problem, that is 85% solution already. That means, the government here is proactive. They understand that the crisis is coming, and that's why the stability is being provided through proper planning. The other issue is natural resources. Now, if you take a country like Singapore, which has no natural resource, so you can actually leverage your natural resource, and there is a layer already existing. You're already, and still oil will last for another 50 years. you already have that layer. So you have to just leverage what you have and build another layer on top of that, which is the non-energy sector, the non-resource sector. So you already have an advantage, and you have to use this. And this is why I'm saying this, that innovation, we talked about innovation. What is the difference between research and innovation? So research is spending money to generate knowledge. Innovation is leveraging what you have to generate money. So these are the points which you already have. That means your innovation can be based on leveraging what you already have. You already have a modern infrastructure, I think, which is very key, particularly in Astana, which is very key for the next generation of business. Also, I think that can also be a cluster for smart cities. You have, as I already talked about, there is a proactive, government is very proactive here. Global education. So I think I've met some of the entrepreneurs who came to San Francisco, and I find that they are no different than anywhere in the world. Right? I mean, they're same people. And during our global deal flow, and when we meet people under 30, almost all of you who are under 30 has a very similar viewpoint about doing business. They all want to be transparent. They all want to understand meritocracy, and they also want to change the world. And that's a great. So you're on the same page like anywhere else, as a young people here. And particularly the program like Bolshek program, the Bolshek program. Today morning I also heard from the university about graduate students studying internationally. They will come back, and I think this is fantastic that you already, and we are talking today the whole time in English. So I think it's a great thing that you have a global education, and in the 5 to 7 to 10 years time, I mean, you'll be no different than anywhere else in the world. Kazakhstan 2050 strategy document, those 100 tasks or 100 documents, I mean, it's a fantastic document if you really study it, And again, as a startup also we say ideas are not important, it's all about execution. And to do Kazakhstan 2050 strategy, I think everybody has to be involved in execution. Only government cannot do it, but at least there is an idea. An idea is there, and I think everybody contributes that. And how a startup can contribute? By thinking global. And that's why I feel that for every person in Kazakhstan, going global should be a norm. It's not an option. So, and then what do you need to be a global brand? Right? And the first thing is the global mindset and a global business model. And what do I mean by that? That today, you can invent your company or execute your company in Kazakhstan. You can have a market in India, or you can hire talent in India. You can have a market in China and have a manufacturing in China. You can have a market in Europe. You can have innovation, capital, market, exit in US. So you can literally take that map and say it is a big Kazakhstan. And then just plan your business accordingly. You don't have to worry about the borders. You don't worry about it, because as in today's economy, like when we're living in the US, sometimes I will not meet my neighbor, particularly in Chicago, for 6 months, but I'll drive 30 miles to meet a friend, a like-minded person. In the internet world, you can do it all the time. You can be a friend, or you can be doing business with anybody in the world with a like-minded person, irrespective of the culture. Right? So that's developing the global mindset. The global mindset is not only about going for a global market, but it could be global capital, it could be innovation, it could be hiring talent anywhere, it could be managing talent anywhere around. So it requires a different kind of a skill set. And that you have to learn, you have to have mentors, you have to have advisors. And that's what I think, some of the things, which the infrastructure, the ecosystem we're talking about, that's the base, that what kind of mentors are there. If you have an advisor who understands what is happening globally, then you can plan your business properly, right? Now, in many businesses, it's not important that, when I mean, certain local businesses, being global means at least you should know what is happening globally, right? So even for the government, if you are doing the economic development piece here, if you don't have an idea about what is going around globally, then you may come up with a cluster which may not make any sense. I mean, we've seen government has tried to do Silicon Valley around the world, nowhere it has been successful because it was designed in an abstract without applying global context. So it is extremely important, even for local business, because there is nothing local anymore, right? We just talk about branding and everything can be found on the internet from anywhere. So that means there's nothing local anymore. So focus on strengths. The strengths, again, I will go back to your resources, your current business, your current market, your current, infrastructure. The other is, I think, you should also look at some of the emerging markets. And obviously, because of the geographical and the geopolitical situation, you're already, after break, you're already talking to Russian market, and you already have a China market, but you should look at India market. Now, here is a quiz, about market. So, how many people do you know here? Which country drinks the most whiskey? No. That's right. Yeah. You know how much? So India drinks about 350 million cases of whiskey, and the whole world is 350 million. That was 50% of world's consumption is India. So imagine if you are a vodka manufacturer, if you can move 2% of India, that's 7 million cases. So you go to Turkey makes raki, and they make about 7 million cases. They can double the production by moving 2% of India's whiskey consumption, by proper branding. Name the first two largest political elections in the world. China doesn't have an election. Which is second? India, I knew that people will know. What is the second largest election? Well, it is the European Union. There are 450 million people vote in the European Union. Now, why I'm coming up with the statistics? And explore whatever you do. Explore alternative market. Explore other things. Just don't take US as a market. Just don't start with that. Because you may have a somewhere market which is upcoming, fast, the cost of entry low. You want to go for a low-cost entry, higher upside market, right? That's where you can be more capital efficient. Now, how do you become capital efficient? By having market efficiency and by having talent efficiency. So human capital efficiency, market efficiency will lead to a better capital efficient company. So when people pitch it to us, we want to look at that, what kind of global mindset they have. Do they understand that, you want to go to the US, you may require $1 million or $2 million, but there are other markets where it could be much lower and the upside could be much higher, depends on the products. Also, I believe that, that innovation and by going global needs diversity. So, in terms of investors, I am also saying that, you should have international investor, investing company, but also in some of the cases, you can also invite international entrepreneurs as a co-founder, or if you can afford a talent, then you can hire people internationally. That will also change your mindset. That will change the way you do business. It will be another set of network, another set of knowledge. When you have your co-founder or your important employees from another country. And so, going global, I'm going to conclude here is first, try to be a product company, because I think, you can select the markets around the world and as a product company. Establish a direct presence in any English-speaking country. So if you want to go to the US and, probably you may not have the resources to go to the US, maybe you can start with a market like Singapore, maybe in UK, maybe in India, maybe in Australia. One of those markets, where you can do the test run, and then you can go for the US market. If you already an existing company in a traditional businesses, and then you want to diversify in a non-traditional business, then you can also hit the ground running by acquiring global companies. So I'm talking about how the Kazakhstan companies can go global. Also use smart global capital. As I was saying that, if you can take money from international investors, and international investor may not invest directly in Kazakhstan, then you have to come up with a new corporate structure so that the international investor can come in. International investors can bring that unique, skill set and the network to your business. Also, in some cases, the larger VC groups, they have their portfolio of companies. They can bring clients to you with their portfolio of the companies. Use global talent, as I'm repeating myself there, and establish a global footprint with your global organizations. So that concludes the whole world is your backyard, and enjoy the stroll. Thank you.